Alright, today I'm going to go through a couple things here, and I want an eBay item. I'll talk about that very shortly and explain my experiences when I went into town. I wanted to liken this video to like my Encyclopedia Brown books. I have a title in the background there called The Case of the Distracted Collector. I mean, it could be something like this, you know, Encyclopedia and the Case of the Distracted Collector. And what I mean by that is ever since I can remember, I was just all over the place and there's nothing I can do about it. And I worked really hard. Shout out to people who disc binder collectors, but essentially I used binders as a way to organize my collections, whatever I had chosen to collect. And when the cards started getting crazy, and now they're even getting crazier for the ones that I want, for my non-sports, I said, you know what, let's go in this particular direction. You might remember this collection here, and this was my after school specials collection, my ABC photos. So there's some other ones in here as well, but my after school special, but the binders is really beat to heck. But those are just the old vintage stickers on there. Some of them stick and some of them don't, and they're coming loose and all that fun stuff. And I just wanted the binder to look like it got heavily used. And then I put all my notes and collection things in there, and pictures of different, you know, things that were going on in there. And again, I was being very focused because I had a checklist to go through. I had a plan of action. I had a money budget set there for each photograph sort of thing. And then a few years ago, all heck broke loose. Everybody just thought it'd be funny to take those $10 photographs, the $5 to $15 photographs, whatever they were at the time, and zoom them up to $20 to $25, $35, almost in some cases $50 for one photograph. So I had to backtrack and go back to some other collections. So I went back to the Encyclopedia Brown collection. I found a few more of those. But things were just being very ridiculous, because whereas I would be 50 cents into a book, somebody would try to sell me a very beat up copy of something on eBay or one of these other platforms for 15 bucks. Is that 15 bucks for a book? And I'll still need another $15. If you amortize out 15 times 15 is like 300 bucks or something for some kids books that you could barely give away at a yard sale for a quarter. Because I see it day in, day out. In fact, I just came back from Goodwill. And what a bad experience there. I met some friends, one person I hadn't seen in a long time. He actually drives from farther southern Oregon for like 2 hours to get to the bin store. That's crazy. And I ended up with buying nothing. And I said, you know what, I should have stayed home, because on my way there I saw this big huge free pile from a garage sale. I didn't stop at that like I should have done. I just went into town and said I'd hit it on the way back. And I did get a box of stuff, just random things, and many of them are books that I will be donating to the library, or those little lending libraries they have all around town, little kind of like bookcase things, and got books, and I'm going to deposit them in those. So that's a great thing to do with that. And I don't know what I have. Probably the stuff that didn't sell that I would have wanted yesterday was not in there. So again, I just kind of wasted my time. But this binder was thing that got me, again, I get off sidetracked there. And fast forward to today, I said, you know what, I'm going to take a look and see if there's any after school special stuff on eBay. Again, everything is still $24.95 for most photographs plus $5 for shipping. So that's $30 for one 7x9 or 8x10 photograph. I said, this is ridiculous. Mixed in with all the reproduction ones, little newspaper print ads and stuff that are all mixed up there. And then you saw, I said, well, I still want to do photographs. So then I did my PBS collection. I'll grab that one from over here. A little bit warm from the sun probably, but my PBS binder here, a little bit warm, but not to worry about it. Kind of my handiwork there. You've seen that. If you're a new collector, new to my channel, you probably haven't seen that. And I said, I'm just going to only work on 70s era and early 80s photographs, you know, with the older logos, such as this one here. But that didn't happen. Because the only way I could afford photographs is just, and I found a seller with everything I wanted, the ABC stuff, the PBS stuff there, but I was getting outbid by people that are resellers that do the $20 to $40 photographs per thing, and so one photograph would pay for their thing. But did I want to spend $200 on photographs? I guess amortized I probably could have, but I get a bunch of junk with a bunch of junk. I tried, didn't matter what number I put in, I didn't put in $200, that's for darn sure, because I was kind of low of money at the time, but well, that's another day. And then so I put these in kind of the way I kind of felt that they would fit. And there was a bunch of these that were just the subject matter just had to go. I donated them or recycled them. There's story time with Martin Mull, and that was, I think, KCET Los Angeles there. So there's that one there, but even that became very, very crazy. It's like, oh, what do I do? And then I started, getting, okay, this is crazy. Let's look at other things here. This was a recent pickup. It will actually fit. It's just a little on the smaller side here, but pick this up, and if you know, you know. And this is the PBS station from where I grew up originally, and it's just the KQED Wine and Food Festival shirt here. Now this is more than likely from the 1980s because they haven't used that logo in a very, very long time. I think the early 90s maybe. I really don't remember, but anyway, it's just a shirt that I felt that I had to have because everything. That being said, I could get a t-shirt or I can get a freaking photograph. But my other complaint, or I say complaint, but the thing is that because I've decided to stop buying the Encyclopedia Brown books, the World magazines, the PBS photographs, the aforementioned after school special photographs, essentially I said, well, let's just jump all over the place. But in doing so, jumping all over the place, I might be cheaper individually on items, but I could have, massively just made big dents in those collections. Now, obviously, some of those things are not for sale on eBay. And the reason why I jumped on this photograph is because it wasn't $20, it wasn't $30, it was $10. But again, the $5 for shipping. So I'm still $15 into a photograph. And it's one that I haven't seen. There was another one I saw on eBay, but it was double or something like. It was a lot of money. But still, $15 for one photograph, and the seller had no others. If they had other ones, from that particular, line of films or whatever, TV show, then obviously I was like, let's just do a big combined purchase here. Because $10 was my max at one time. But unfortunately, I can't usually get $10 on my max. The other thing is that I found several autographs in one picture. These are good examples here, and I don't have them on the screen here, because I don't have a screen. So I found an autograph that was listed, two of them for $150. Lo and behold, one of them sold for $10, okay, in a different listing. It was not signed to anybody. It was just an autograph by a particular actress who's in their 90s and signed. And I have an address, maybe question mark address. I'll just say, are you the right person? Can this be forwarded? Do they still sign autographs? All that fun stuff. And I might try to get their autograph soon. And the worst thing that can happen is a return to sender. Or nothing at all. Nothing at all. Nothing at all. Just like Goodwill today. Nothing at all. And so where am I going with this one here? So again, these crazy prices on eBay are not, balancing out to the, again, I paid a whopping $15 for this one photograph, but they're currently double the cost, $30. And so I jumped on that one. It was an auction, and this auction had not sold the previous week. I don't know how many previous weeks it had been up, but again, they tried doing auction style, and they got no hits. No hits, no hits, no hits. There's only one person on the planet at this particular date and time that is looking for that photograph, and that is me, unless there's other people that just, weren't thinking about it. There might be other people. But again, I still need probably close to 100 more photographs before I finish. That's thousands and thousands of dollars. Thousands of dollars. I don't remember if it was 100, but it might as well be 100. It's like the Hopalong Cassidy I was working on recently. I still need just under 200 cards. Even if that was $1 a card, that was $200 that needs to go to that particular collection, which could go to, theoretically, the other photographs collection. The thing is that these things happen in price ranges that I want so infrequently, I have to sit there doing nothing, buying nothing, seeing nothing, and it's probably a good balance for us to buy nothing until we absolutely have to buy something. Again, the stuff that I saw at Goodwill was 50-50. They take a frown on if you take license plates up to the counter, and it was a beat up one, I didn't need it, but getting a license plate for 50 cents or whatever is what I like to do, and they probably would have said no, because they say, oh, by the way, Goodwill Bin's policy is that we can't sell license plates because that's somebody's privated number. But I explained to them, I said, well, they're all over eBay, they only have to be 3 years to the good. And then they also give them away at Washington DMV. You just write to whatever Washington DMV it was that it says to on the web, and they usually give you a beat up license plate for free, and it's a used one, so of somebody else's. So there's no privated number, no nothing, no nothing, no nothing. Not a big deal. Yes, I'm sure you could do some sort of vehicle trace search through those numbers, but again, that just, it's the opportunities for me to buy stuff and have a good, like that guy from two hours away. He has to find something worth at least $50 to make it worth his time to come back and go back, whatever, the fuel, and I'm sure he has a fuel efficient car, but still, it just, the amount of stuff. And I forgot to buy something when I was the last time I was there. So, it's a book on taxi cabs, and it was gone. And more than likely it was thrown away. It got in a row that got thrown away, but it just fell out of my stuff, or somebody took it, or I was talking to somebody and just flinged it off to the side. The biggest problem is I get distracted by talking to people. And all these videos that I have here in my feed are distractions. Whether they're TTM autographs or somebody complaining about the hobby and stuff like that, it's all an insane amount of attention grab. I am not an attention grabber, but I just want to show people what I got in, because I want to show things that not everybody else is showing. I want to show things that only cost me a little bit of money, so people can be on the lookout for budget items. That's why I mention the Goodwill bins a lot. It's a budget place if you do your homework there. Even if something is $10 there, it's $100 on eBay, but people say, I don't want to pay $10. That's the great thing about it. The reseller's like, I'm in for it for $10. I can't do that unless I get some sort of package, a combined deal. Even at $10, they say, would you take 5? Regardless if that item is $50 to $100 or more. And then the last binder I have here is this binder that nobody would have grabbed. 0 people would have grabbed it. But, again, I always tell people, where are you going to find another one? It's like these photographs here that I've been picking up. It's not easy to find another one. It's taken me probably 4+ years to find this particular picture on eBay and able to purchase it for more or less the price that I wanted. $15 a photograph is still way too expensive. If I could be $10 or less, I would be doing that, I would say all day long, but I would do that until I could finish out my collection. This one here is just kind of an 80s style binder here, and I put all of the corresponding after school specials. This one here is Michael's Mixed Up Musical Bird. I had a chance to get a picture from that, but what happened is that I got outbid on that because it was in a lot. Lots get outbid because it just takes one photograph to say, well, I'll sell this one for 20, and this one for 5, and this one for 5, and this one, and I've already made my money. So all the 17 other photographs but again, I'm not a reseller, so I'm stuck for the whole lot. None of the money is coming back out, so I have to basically say, didn't want to spend $50 on this lot. Even though $50 is a good deal, it's still $50 regardless of how great of a deal it happens to be. And at the time, I couldn't do $50 of anything practically. It was just kind of ridiculous that these just things are just shooting out of cannon. Everybody thinks, I can imagine the crazy amount of death piles. Again, that clothing and stuff that was at the end of hundreds of dollars were spent on everything originally by somebody. A shirt cost $5 or more, unless they got it for free somewhere else. And this stuff, but it was all out on the curb just for the taking. So I just grabbed a box and said, you know what, if I grab a few things here, I'm going to be spilling it all over. So I just grabbed the box with whatever was in it, filled it, and walked off. And I wish the other person digging through this stuff some good luck on the clothes. But I was parked in somebody else's driveway, and I had the car running with the key inside of it. I didn't, I wasn't in a bad spot, but I just, and then wanted to get out of that particular position there. There's another one here. Where do teenagers come from? I had several chances to get those photographs, and I missed both times. I said, I'm not losing that photograph. I am not losing that because I had a seller in Canada years ago, and I could get that photograph. I didn't get it. And then guess what happened? I got outbid on the second one, regardless of how much money I threw in there. I was like, oh my gosh, it's ridiculous. And I lost it, because I had bills to pay and other things like that, and I just couldn't, in good conscience, but I put a crazy amount in there, like $50 or something like that, and still got outbid on all these photographs. And to this day, I just can't find any more for sale. You dig around, leave it in the YouTube, people say, well, just bookmark it, but I mean, there's only a few items that would show up, and this would have not shown up in my listings, so what can I really do? So I have to basically be on my guard for, and look up that seller that I bought the stuff from and hope he posts another similar lot to it. but it could be years or months before he does another one. You know, I don't want to be 70 still working on this collection when everybody has passed away. One of the photograph that I picked up, these people would be only in their early 60s if they hadn't passed away. One guy died, Lance Kerwin has passed away a few years ago, but the other guy passed away 2 years ago at the age of like 60 or 61. Crazy, you know. So these child actors, you know, don't have a great life, and, you know, probably things happened and didn't take care of themselves, you know, after they were no longer, you know, a viable option sort of thing, and they pass away in their early 60s. I mean, it happens. But again, so I would not be able to use that autograph for TTM, and that, again, at one time, the photographs only had value if you could get autographs them on or not, and then once the people passed away, the value of the items went down because they were not relevant anymore, you know. So what is a person to do? I just, you know, used all of these binder examples, you know, the card binders, the Alpine Cassidy and stuff, to stay, you know, essentially focused in the hobby, and it didn't happen because a window closed and another one might have opened and that other window closed before I was able to finish what I was doing. And it's a frustrating thing. Now I've got all these halfway started projects here, many of which I want to keep, but I need to figure out, you know, how to get, you know, we just don't have the video and the YouTube community to fix this problem. It's just like, well, let's just find the best deal, let's spend the most money, let's go to the national and wipe out all our funds until we can't, you know, then we have to just basically pay bills for the rest of the year and do nothing else. And it's not a good system here. The whole gambling on the pack pulls and everything, and some bozos are talking about how hobby relevant. And again, that does not do anything for me. It makes whatever I'm doing, again, it just, like I said, when I go to the Goodwill, everybody's vying for that one last little bit of whatever it was, and I found none of that. It was just all somebody's dirty old clothes, dirty old shoes. It was just a zoo, and I took the very last parking spot. And then I had a great trip on the way home, got some free stuff, and I think that should finish it up. But again, next week, provided the seller does a good job there, I will get my photograph and I'll show you, and I'll show you where I can mark that off. And one more on my list of things. In fact, we'll finish off here with my checklist here. 20 minutes is all I could do on the camera here. But this is it's going to be, I won't show you exactly what it is here, but it is one of the earlier ones here, and it is going to be, if I can get to it here, it should be right there. It's circa 1974. And that will be my very first photograph from 1974 in my collection there. And it looks like I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, about 8. I have about 8 pictures, and my list is wrong here because I had one marked off at $5 and it's no longer $5. It's $25, so forget that one. But anyway, that is today's video here. A lot of stuff to process, and thank you for watching.